I'm Mike Clapper from Denver, Colorado. I do public art for a living. I also show personal work at galleries, but my real love and my income is all based on public art around the country, and that's what I love designing for spaces and communities and people. So what I typically do is just go through a couple projects to kind of give you a feel for how I work. So this piece is called Mining Minds. It was for the University of Texas, El Paso. They're called the Miners. It's 28 feet tall. It's in a roundabout. It's about 50 feet in diameter. So my concept with this was to take their original logo of a mining school. They started back in 1910. I wanted to take that icon and bring it into the present and on into the future. So what I did is I took the handle out of it, which really created kind of a nice modernist sculpture, timeless piece of work. And then I perforated the tips with an inspirational line from the president of the university's convocation speech that year. And then I translated that into binary code. So then we had something going on into the future. So perforated the tips with that. And there it is in the roundabout. A piece called Nucleus for Greenwood Village, Colorado, marble and limestone. And Greenwood Village was formed by annexing all these different parcels around it into a community. And my concept was to take the three major elements, make them look as if they're a puzzle, if they fit into one. And then overall, it looks like one clean modernist sculpture, but it's really made up of three different parts. A piece I did for the NFL in Canton, Ohio, called Birth of the NFL. They're doing a series of 11 greatest moments in the sport of football, and the first one was the birth of the NFL. So my concept was to create this piece. It's 23 feet tall. Make the football spheroid form actually look as sort of it's a seed pod, and the nucleus inside is the NFL composition, the three letters all melded together with dichroic glass, which reflects beautifully off onto the floor in the building. A piece I did for Sacramento, California. This is to honor a local boxer that was active back in the 50s and 60s. His name Joey Lopez. The reason he was very kind of more famous for his, aside from his boxing, is his work in the community after his career. So they named a park after him in West Sacramento. And what I did is took an image of him and created a halftone and pixelated that and had that water jet through COR-TEN steel. And with the sun behind it, it turns into a photograph. And what you're looking at is a series of holes, laser jet through steel. So the only thing that's making that photograph is the sun behind it. And once again, that's how detailed it can look when you're looking at a piece where the image is pixelated, laser cut through COR-TEN steel, and with the sun behind it, turns into a photograph. Oh, it's made of stone as well. So for your site, I mean, I've been here before. Most people in the country kind of have. You know, there's no more beautiful desert than the Sonoran Desert. It's really, the Flora is just stunning, I think. So my concept for Peoria is to convey a community that's born of the desert, and what I'm doing is using as a metaphor is referencing the local flora, but in particular the Parry's agave plant. To me, it was a plant that takes a long time to bloom. It just hangs out there in the desert for years and years, and then slowly becomes what it is, slowly blossoms. Also, I wanted to use circular patterns found in nature and community. And a top view of the agave plant. So I'm going to create a large circular piece that's part of the composition, that's a photograph looking down onto an agave plant using that same photorealism technique I did on the boxer, and I'll pixelate that, have it laser jet cut through steel, and as you see the sun behind it, it becomes an image. So it's called Peoria Bloom, and it's actually a pretty large sculpture, 25 feet tall. This is to scale. This person is like a 6 foot tall person. So it's a pretty big piece, 25 foot in height. The disc itself is 14 to 15 foot in diameter. And it's spiraled out at the top with the stems coming up through the center. So you have a real good sculptural quality as you drive around it, walk around it, looking up and seeing this photographic image, seeing the stalks of community come up through that plant. And there's a couple different ways to go with materials. It can be COR-TEN steel on the agave circular element, and stainless steel on the community stalks coming up through, or we can reverse that. As seen from 83rd Street as you're driving up. A little closer shot of that. And the positioning of it, I wanted to kind of wait until I saw the site, because I'm not sure which is your most important route, which route you value coming up Happy Valley, coming up 83rd, and the sun and the background, so we can position the thing so that the most people can see the graphic as you're coming around, and it's highlighted and all that sort of thing. And a lot of the material choice depends on how the sun is behind it. If we use the COR-TEN steel with the stainless steel community elements, then it's important to have a bright sky behind it, which you certainly have plenty of out here. Doesn't seem to be an issue. I've opened it up the top, so in reality it'll lean out both ways, so you can kind of see it from your car as you drive up from either direction. But another option is to have stainless steel on the circular part, and we actually create a box structure, thin box structure, because if you use stainless steel with this method, it's a little bit better if it's blackened on the other side. So then we create two images, one on each side with a dark box inside, and you can light that at night and it really pops. So I wasn't sure of your light ordinances in the city of Peoria, but that's an option. Here you can see the simplicity, and this is what I like about using the COR-TEN steel and having the sun, is that you do away with a lot of gimmicks and mechanisms, and you simply have the sun shining through this thing, creating the image. So to me, the simplicity of having the sun come through the COR-TEN is really the most powerful, but there's a couple options. At night, the stalks representing community will all be perforated about 3 feet down from the top of each one and lit from within. So as the sun goes down, the stalks will have a series of lights on each of the elements. And if we go with the stainless steel version, it can be lit from within, and the whole agave will just kind of glow. Once again, the COR-TEN steel with the sun coming through. The stainless steel version that's blackened on the inside but would be lit at night. Materials, COR-TEN steel and brushed stainless steel. Laser cut graphics, lit from within. As you can see in this sculpture, it really pops at night. This gives you somewhat of an idea of what you're going to be looking at night. It just looks like the city lights, kind of glows. Custom perforation, you can see the image on the right as I showed you before. It's the COR-TEN steel with the sun coming through, creating the photograph, creating the image that you would have on the Agave. On the left is a series of holes cut through, creating the image in stainless steel. Typically a black background, really works well during the daytime on the stainless steel version, but at night it can be lit to really glow from within. Now with the COR-TEN steel selection, that could be backlit as well to give you, somewhat of an image at night as well. But I can't say it's going to pop as much as the box structure of the stainless one at night. So that is what I'm proposing for the city of Peoria. Peoria Bloom.
What we're going to do is
the base, it's going to be welded to probably a 3/4 inch thick piece of stainless steel. That's going to be just below the surface, just below grade. It'll hold this, the community stalks element as well as the agave circle. And it'll be just, as I said, just below grade, so whatever we decide to infill with, gravel, landscaping, whatever, can cover that up. Like 6 inches of whatever material can cover that up. So it'll look like it is in the photograph. My goal would have it not be on a concrete pedestal. It's very organic looking coming out of the ground.
So regardless if it's the COR-TEN or the stainless, the stalks that come up, they're both lit in the same way?
That's correct. The stalks, as they come up, whether it's stainless steel, whether it's COR-TEN steel, both will be lit from within at night. And there'll be ground lighting. On the pickaxe from the University of Texas, El Paso, you can see that it's lit from within and lit from the outside. So it gives us this nice glow on the outside as well as having it being lit from within. So this is the kind of look you would see at night with the COR-TEN. Mm-hmm.
Just a question for you about how you decided to propose use of steel at this intersection. You wanted it to look organic, but steel is a little bit of a departure from organic.
Sure, steel, it certainly is. But with steel, the question was, how do I justify steel when I want it to look organic? And I would answer that by saying that that material allows me to give you a photographic image of an agave plant by using the laser technology and photographic technology, and also allows me to get the scale that I want to. I'm creating a very sculptural element, and to cantilever up 25 feet tall and have a 15-foot diameter circle, you have to use materials like steel. I can use stone, and I have in a lot of projects, but there's only so much you can do with stone. You can only get so large before it won't go anymore. It won't go up like steel will. So to me, in the work that I create, my goal is always to create very modernist, timeless sculpture and very clean lines, so it'll avoid the concept of being dated down the road, 20 years down the road. It'll still be a fresh, minimal, timeless piece of work. So, steel is a material that allows me to create a sculpture like that and still give you imagery that you want.
From a lighting perspective, do you envision just a standard daylight colored light on it, or a colored light to kind of take advantage of the agave, or do you think?
Well, with the lighting situation on what I want to do with the lighting, I envision, quite honestly, experimenting with it in my studio to give you the best look. I have a feeling that with something like this, warm lighting might actually be the best. maybe a warm light within or on the agave circle, and maybe a blue light with the stalks and coming out the very top. So maybe changing it up a little bit. We could also have, you know, colored LEDs, and it could be actually a subtle green color. I mean, that could actually happen as well. But that's why I would, if you choose me to do the commission, I would probably want to experiment with the lighting to really make it pop, so you're happy with it.
And the lighting is interior inside?
It would be on the stainless steel element. The lighting would be probably inside that agave circle, as well as inside the tops of the stalks. So you can kind of see what that would look like at night. You'd have a subtle glow. Now, I wasn't sure about the city of Peoria's light ordinances. So this is something that's early in its stage and could be worked out. I mean, one of the reasons I didn't want to use glass on this project is reflection, because it's on an intersection. So with the NFL piece, I had to really be careful. Every single piece of glass had to be angled so it wasn't reflecting in someone's eyes driving down the road. So I had to be really careful with that. And we would, you know, be cognizant of that with the lighting on this piece as well.